Karl Anthony Towns from Minnesota as part of a three-team trade. New York sent a package to Minnie in return that included Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. Then on the eve of the NBA draft, the Knicks got Mikal Bridges from Brooklyn in exchange for a package that included 5 first-round picks. Bridges went on to play in all 82 regular season games this year. Then there's Isaiah Hartenstein. Left the Knicks after agreeing to a 3-year, $87 million deal with the Thunder. Hartenstein was one of just 3 players in the NBA last season with at least 85 blocks and 85 steals. Stephen A. Have the Knicks silenced criticisms as we dance to Go New York, Go New York, Go on their off-season wheeling and dealing, which at the time in this city was very controversial?
Yeah, let me tell you something, Peter. I didn't hear the damn question because that's the longest ass intro into a question I've ever had on First Take.
I wrote it.
But that's okay, Peter. That's okay. Ain't nothing but love for you. Ain't nothing but love for you, right? That's a long ass intro. That's a long. You want your TV time, you got it, okay? But that's all right. That's okay. Here's the deal, Peter. Here's the deal. Anthony Towns deal. You got to continue to play well because of the way Julius Randle has looked in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about, his game has elevated in the postseason. We never saw Julius Randle play like that as a New York Knick in the postseason. Okay, the way he's looked thus far. So I got that part. Here's where it gets interesting. Package by the league. Mikal Bridges, you gave up 5 first-round picks. 4 of them unprotected. Plus a swap. Plus a second-rounder. That's a lot. Especially when you consider the fact that the Lakers didn't have to come close to giving anything like that up. Not that they could have, but they didn't have to come close to giving anything like that up for Luka Doncic. So, knowing that you did this for a dude who has never been an all-star, that's a lot. That's a lot. And especially when you consider the fact that it potentially gets in the way of you being able to go out and get somebody like a Giannis. Because you don't have the assets. You see what I'm saying? So looking at it from that perspective, and put Perk on the screen, please. Looking at it from that perspective, it doesn't look great until last night when we saw Mikal Bridges show up in the fourth quarter the way that he did. Now, Mikal Bridges has to understand you have to be that guy. We understand, and understand this. It's not like Leon Rose got holes or something like that. It's an unwritten rule. Perk knows this, Peter. It's an unwritten rule in the NBA. Brooklyn doesn't do business with the Knicks under normal circumstances. Brooklyn doesn't do business with the Knicks under normal circumstances because they're the rival. You trying to have your own inroads, and you're not trying to help the local franchise. That is the New York Knicks. So there was no way they were going to get a Mikal Bridges, who's a champion in collegiately and a personal friend of Jalen Brunson, who is the face of the New York Knicks franchise. They did it for him. And you also have to remember that Jalen Brunson, could have waited a year and got an additional $100 million from the Knicks. He didn't do that. So considering what his level of production was, along with the financial sacrifice that he made for the New York Knicks, if you're Leon Rose and them, you had to go out and do what they did, and there was no way that you were going to get him from the Nets unless you gave them the farm. So knowing that, it's up to Mikal Bridges to make sure he's that dude. To make sure, you don't have to be an all-star. You don't have to be a 25-per-game scorer. Perk said it very, very astutely the other day. Don't be the dude that was on the Brooklyn Nets. Be the dude that was on the Phoenix Suns, that went to the finals with Chris Paul and Devin Booker and those brothers. That's who Mikal Bridges needs to be. He needs to be reliable. He needs to be good for 19 to 20 a night. He needs to be somebody whose perimeter shots you can rely upon and whose defense you lean on along with that of Anunoby as well, because that's going to elevate the New York Knicks defensively. He has to be that guy on a consistent basis for years to come in order to justify all they had to give up for him, even though we understand the reason they had to give it up is because they were doing business with the Brooklyn Nets, their crosstown rival. Not a rival, but, the crosstown team that ain't trying to look to help you at all. We understand it. That's what comes with it. But the only way to validate this is for Mikal Bridges to look a hell of a lot like he looked last night in Game 2, to look like that significantly more frequently throughout his career with the New York Knicks for the foreseeable future.
Peter, I was going to tell you to pull out the stopwatch, but the man was speaking a lot of facts, so I let him go on for 2.5 minutes. But you was on the clock for a minute there.
You let the executive producer go on? Okay. Go ahead.
You was on the clock there for a minute. But here's the thing. Who's criticizing right now? Nobody saying a damn word. Stephen A's happy. Tracy Morgan happy. Fat Joe is happy. Everybody's happy around the city of New York, right? Yeah. Mikal Bridges. Again, the Phoenix Suns, Mikal Bridges. In back-to-back games. Crucial steal on Jalen Brown. Don't even let him get a shot to tip up. Crucial steal, active hands on Jason Tatum. Game-sealing steal. Big corner threes, big fourth-quarter game two. Like, he's having those impactful moments that you want to see. And I still think you could get more out of him, and I believe you're going to get more if you're a New York Knicks fan out of him once he get in Madison Square Garden. Karl Anthony Towns has been balling. This team is not only on the verge, and I believe is going to the Eastern Conference, but I say, let's be real here. They about to knock off the NBA champions. This team got a legit shot at winning the NBA championship, dog. Like, think about this. If things play the way that it look like it's trending, it's looking like the Knicks versus the Pacers. The Knicks got a shot at beating the Pacers. Okay, you get to the finals.
The Pacers are good.
The Knicks go look. The Pacers are good. I'm just saying. So, yes, they have silenced the critics because no one's complaining in New York City.
I think the fear was they would lose the toughness of Randle, the toughness of DiVincenzo. But
they had during the regular season. They did lose.
They did. These guys in the clutch have stepped up, and when you see Cat playing the way he is in crunch time, and, of course, Bridges the last 2 nights, it's hard to question the moves by Leon Rose in that front office. Guys, the Celtics find themselves down 0-2 right now. Can the duo of Tatum and Brown lead them back? Someone here says it's not over yet.
And I know the numbers. You're going to tell me, Gary, all about what happened during the regular season. And I'm going to tell you this. Is it weird to say the Knicks are probably happy to see the Celtics after that grueling, drag-out mosh pit of a battle with the Detroit Pistons? Now they can get back to just playing some basketball.
This is Alan Hahn's victory lap. And listen, aside from, having to climb out of a 20-point hole each of the first 2 games, Alan Hahn, you might have been onto something. This, a far more welcoming series for the way the Knicks want to play basketball, right?
Yeah, I mean, they had them right where they wanted them, down 20
exactly.
in the third quarter, right? Obviously. But, look, there's a lot of things here to look at. Number one, obviously not the same physicality that the Knicks had to deal with the Pistons, and they're almost relieved by it. But it's the same situation as the team leaving the door open for this team that has the best closer in the game on it and also has just a toughness about them mentally. But let me give you a number here. 25 for 100. I'm not good at math, but I do know that's 25%. That's the default for the Celtics is the three-point shot, and they're 25 for 100 so far in the first 2 games. They have an arrogance about their offense because they play one way and one way only. And if that's not working, as you can see, you can come back on them and you can close the door on them. And right now, the Knicks are ready to slam the door on the defending champs as the series heads back to New York.
Yeah, at this time, they're going back to MSG as Tatiana, our stage director from New York, wearing her Knicks hoodie and just flaunting it right in my face as I'm doing this segment. It's a tough one. Knicks fans on cloud 9. Let's go back to the final play in Game 2. The defense comes up with a game-saving stop on Jason Tatum, trying to get to Jalen Brown. Take us through what you saw in that final sequence.
Well, they tried to run the same play that the Tatum dunk was on earlier but Tatum had momentum going down the floor. This time, he takes his time going into this. You see the screen. Now watch Mitchell Robinson jump on the right hand and force him left. He doesn't want to go left. You're heading now into the torture chamber. OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges were both acquired to stop a player like Tatum, and they did. And there's Bridges again with the stop. But watch Mitchell Robinson. This is a 7-footer moving his feet and forcing Tatum, a superstar, to go to his left where he doesn't want to go, right into the teeth of the Knick defense. That was a fantastic defensive sequence. They did run the same play, but it did not have nearly the same tempo. The Knicks were ready for it. They locked it down, and that was a huge stop in that game, which, again, gives them a 2-0 series lead that no one saw coming, but maybe they did.
Well, I'm glad you bring up the 2-0 series lead because nobody's talking about it at all out of the boroughs. Game 3.
I mean, that is a beautiful person wearing just an outstanding outfit, and you can see right now, like, you know what, though? Give her a break. Give everybody a break here because the Knicks have not had a chance to do a lot of flexing over the last couple of years. Right now, let them flex.
Series ain't over. Game 3 Saturday from the Mecca. Alan Haw, much appreciated. Thanks, team.
Impossible happens on back-to-back nights. In Game 1, or back-to-back games, I should say, Celtics had a 98% chance to win Game 1. They had a 99% chance to win Game 2. According to our analytics, there was a percentage chance of 0.015 that the Knicks would win both of these games. And no one is enjoying it more than Stephen A. Smith.
Go New York, go New York. Go New York, go New York. Go New York, go New York.
Let me check on Stephen A. this morning.
Okay, so it's typically understated Stephen A. Smith in his reaction there. And so we've been on this game so much of the Big Perky, all right?
No, man, look, Stephen A. know he need to stop. What? He was the same one. He just said the Celtics was going to win in 5. He was nervous. He was nervous, more nervous than a criminal in church. And now all of a sudden he's sitting up here talking about no, go New York, go New York, go.
I seen you checking, Perk. I seen that segment. You're right.
Look,
You're right.
The bottom line of it is this. So we've come all this time into the show today, and we've talked a great deal about the Celtics and how they have fallen apart in these 2 games. And the reality is that is the storyline here, because you cannot come from 20 points behind without help. You can't do that all by yourself. You need the team in front of you to let you back in the game, and the Celtics have done that both times. But we've also come 32 minutes into the show without saying what needs to be said, and we'll say it now. The Knicks are a much better team than people were giving them credit for being before this series began. The tone of the conversation leading into this series was like the Celtics were a 1 seed and the Knicks were a 16. The difference in the NCAA tournament is those teams genuinely don't belong on the same floor as the team they're playing with. Every once in a while, something ridiculous happens and they win, but it should never happen. This was not the case. The Knicks were a team that won 50 games this regular season. They're a good NBA team. They're playing a better team. The Celtics are the better team, and they still may win the series. But the Knicks have taken both of these 2 games, and I think, Monica, I get a sense that you have felt all along, and I'll give you the chance to start it, that not enough credit has been given to them in the conversation.
I do feel that way, Greeny, and particularly when you look at what's happening in clutch time, right? Jalen Brunson alone has 14 clutch points. The Celtics as a team have 12. And so there is a comfort. Yesterday going into the game, I really wondered about what clutch looked like. Now, the Celtics have played 36 clutch games. They are 24-11 in that time frame. The Knicks actually during the season played 31, but as we saw earlier today, have had 6 in the postseason. It's hard to explain, but coming into the postseason, the Knicks had more room to grow. During the regular season, they only had, I believe it was 6 games that they had their entire roster available top to bottom in terms of having, go down the line, Bridges, Robinson, Brunson, right? So you really didn't have a chance to see the promise at all, except in that last game versus Boston that went into overtime. And so for me, they've just grown and gotten better. And like Josh Hart said, they've got the most
pick up. I'm watching Mikal Bridges and Deuce McBride. They getting out in the open floor. They getting wide open threes before the Celtics are able to get their defense set. I'm watching Tom Thibodeau say, okay, Joe Mazzulla, you want to go to a Hacker Mitchell? I'm still going to leave him out there on the floor with Karl Anthony Towns. And I'm going to out-coach you because I'm going to allow you to keep hacking Mitchell until we get into the bonus early in the 4th quarter, and then I'm going to sub him out. He's out coaching him right now. And then here's another thing. A 20-point lead is not safe in today's game. I wish people quit it's not. It's nothing in today's game in 2025. It is all the credit to the Knicks. And one guy I got to give a lot of props to, Josh Hart, the Swiss Army knife. He will cut you everywhere but loose. Does every single thing that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, the cutting off the basketball, the offensive rebounds. And can we show some love to the big cat? Where we at, 21 and 17? Only one 3-point shot attempt last night? A monster in the paint? The Knicks are doing what they supposed to do. They're getting dirty and getting it in the trenches while the Celtics are looking soft and looking cute. That's it. That's what it is.
Listen, Josh Hart last night goes 3 of 6 from the 3-point line. Derek White, 3-point shooter, shot 265 threes this year for the Celtics, 3 of 11. And so to Wendy's point in terms of why you're confused, I get it. Because the Knicks are doing everything that you would scout and want them to do, except it's backfiring on the Celtics. But that is one of the things, Greeny, that you just can't quantify statistically, the way that this group is playing together and the confidence they have.
There is another thing that is going on here that I think is, it comes through the television. And so Monica and Wendy, you guys being in the building, I'm sure you feel it. When there were reasons why Phil Jackson, when he was coaching the Bulls, used to always say he greatly preferred playing on the road. And I think you're feeling it, the energy in the building. When the game started yesterday, every 3 the Celtics missed, you could hear the crowd groaning. And then in the fourth quarter, you could feel through the again, I'm sitting in my house. I can feel it on the television window. You're in the building. The Celtic fans can feel it happening again, and that energy has to trickle down on some level to the players one way or another.
When it got to be a 20-point lead, all of these fans are aware that all of these top seeds are blowing 20-point leads. The jokes, you could hear them in the stands. You could hear them on press row. Oh my gosh, that the higher seeds got a 20-point lead at home. It's curtains. You just give the game to the Knicks. But it was nervous laughter. And again, as they were getting walked down, I felt the Celtics got tighter. Typically, the home team thrives having a lead. Typically, the team that falls way down on the road sort of fades. Nothing conventionally is happening in this series.
14 minutes, or the lead was 14. I think it was about 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. My terrific radio partner, Tyler Murray, he says it on our call. You can feel the anxiousness in this building. And it unfolded in exactly that. And I think to answer the question on how they're coming back, when they're closing the gap on these runs, Greeny, there's just a relentlessness that either you got or you don't. Josh Hart ripping rebounds, going coast to coast, like Mikal Bridges finding his way in the middle range.
They look like a team that had more energy, and that's funny because they're the team that played all these minutes, and everybody said it's going to wear them down. They look like they built themselves up for this point of the season, and the Boston Celtics looked like they had tired legs.
Yes, and perhaps that is the reason for what we'll finish this part of the conversation by saying. The reality is the Celtics are missing makeable shots in the fourth quarter. They just are. Whether that's because they're tight, whether that's because they're tired, it doesn't make any difference what the reason is. It's happening, and so the Knicks have dominated those 2 quarters and taken a 2-0 lead home. We haven't even gotten to the other game.
Bridges. Hell, Jalen Brunson, that time we see him sliding those puppies, and we saw at the end of the play, we saw Mitchell Robinson get down in the defensive stance. But at some point, Jason Tatum got to say, I'm the best player on the floor. I cannot be guarded. He's one of the most elite scorers in the game today, and I just don't see that tenacity. I don't see that dog in him. And this is, I thought was going to be his moment after being disrespected all summer long, that he was going to be ready to protect not only his championship, but definitely protect his home court and his crib.
And so they're down 2-0. Cindy, one more. Let's put up A23 as I give it to Wendy here for thoughts on this. Jason Tatum in clutch time in this series, in both games obviously decided in the end. So both games going to clutch time. Tatum in 23 clutch time minutes in the fourth quarter and overtimes in this series has made 2 field goals with 2 assists and 2 turnovers. Wendy, what are we seeing from a Celtic team that you described as, I don't want to say shaken up, but confused by what has happened in the first 2 games?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation for me to try to get my arms around because the Knicks seem to be comfortable being behind in the fourth quarter. That seems to be where they prefer. They like the feeling of walking the team down. And when you look at the fact that they have won 5 consecutive road games by 3 points or less, which has never happened in NBA history before. No team has done that in a whole postseason. No team's ever done that more than 2 times in a row. They've done it 5 road games in a row. They seem to be comfortable playing from behind. And that is an unusual thing for me to understand. And the Celtics seem to play tight. You would think being up 20 at home, that's when things get rolling. But they seem to tighten up. And I can't explain that. And I think a lot of people are having trouble squaring how this is happening. The results are not matching the process. I really am having a hard time figuring out where this series is going to go.
I got you, Wendy, but I will offer this too in watching these 2 games. And in the playoffs at large, I think when you have teams that still have room to grow by the time they hit the playoffs, something unique can happen. Based on what we've seen in these first 2 games, I'm wondering if we don't know the entire story when it comes to health, and I'm wondering if you've sort of seen these guys peak earlier in the season. I mean, if you think about the basketball life of a Jason Tatum, a Jalen Brown, these guys have been in the Eastern Conference Finals the last 5 years together, and Jalen Tatum, has one more additional run than that. So when it gets late, to Wendy's point of those guys tighten it up, they look tight, they look tired, and the Knicks, meanwhile, to me, have grown through each game in this series.
When we talk about the health, I mean, let's just be clear what we're talking about. Brown, there were the injuries, the
Holiday,
knee is a concern, and Porzingis is a major concern.
He's only played like 25 minutes in this series so far. Missing him is a big part of what they do, but I'm telling you, I still think it all boils down to 25 for 100. Because they rely so much on
that's the shooting percentage from 3 in the 2 games.
When you're tired.
They rely so much on that when that's not going down, it's sort of, now we got to drive the ball. We got to do things that are not comfortable, that are different, but they always rely on burying you with threes. And when they're not going down and that's in the back of your mind, it does change the way you feel. Because now that default that you're so used to being there is not there anymore. And when they don't have that and they go 13 straight shots without making a bucket, and the other team, as you said, Monica, has a little bit of a toughness about them that they keep scratching and clawing, like that is a recipe for disaster. But let's also not forget.
Look at there are your numbers, though, Alan. Again, just to illustrate your point.
25 for 100.
They shot 25% in game 1. They shot markedly fewer threes last night, for whatever it's worth, but they shot the same percentage. And we had the stat in the essay that we did yesterday. When they shoot above 30% from 3-point range, regardless of the number of attempts, they're basically unbeatable. And when they shoot lower than 30%, they're very much beatable. Perk, go.
So we're not going to address the elephant in the room. I'm going to say the quiet thing. I'm going to say the quiet thing out loud, or ask the question, right? What the hell is going on with Kristaps Porzingis? Like, what is this mystery illness that no one knows about, right? This has been lingering since March. Like, what is going on? The NBA don't know. Like, nobody knows what's going on with him. And it's concerning because, like, he's on the floor. Is it contagious? Is it not? Is it, like, what's happening? We need some answers here.
So, Wendy, what do we know?
Keep saying, oh, he's out.
I spoke to him last night. He just described what happened to him in the last few days as a big crash. He said he was managing what he was dealing with relatively well, and he's had this crash, and he feels it from a fatigue standpoint. That's why they didn't start him last night. Now, when you hear he's sick, he's not sneezing. He's not wheezing. He's feeling incredible fatigue. Boston is one of the leading medical cities in the world. He is an NBA player with a huge investment in him. Trust me, they have taken him and had all these specialists look at it. This is a problem. He was managing it well. He said it's killing him that it's happening now, but he is not himself. He admitted that. And that, I don't know how big of a factor it is, but not having Porzingis to go to as an option to run offense through is definitely a factor in the Celtics having trouble scoring.
I believe it is a huge factor, Big Perk, and I think that's what you were getting at. He was their cheat code. As we watched their run through the playoffs last year, when they had a healthy Porzingis, they were for all intents and purposes, unbeatable. And they missed that in this series. There's no question about it. Perk.
I mean, look, last year, it wasn't Jokic, it wasn't Embiid. He was the best post-up guy in the league last year. He led the league in the post-ups, right? When they ran high pick and rolls with him and they got the switches, they threw it down to him on the low block or at the nail, and he was able to take advantage of it. The Celtics don't win the NBA championship without Kristaps Porzingis. He was the one that gave them the separation in the NBA Finals against the Dallas Mavericks on both ends of the floor. So I'm not throwing shade or going at him. I'm just trying to understand what is going on. You know, what is happening with him? Nobody is saying nothing. It's just a big mystery, and I think we all deserve answers.
Yeah, I think the part of it that is confusing or frustrating or confounding or whatever word you want to use is that I don't think they have answers, and that's the problem. So let me show you something very unusual. A27, so here's the poll. I want to set it up by telling you that the Celtics, who opened up the series minus 900 favorites to win, are now the underdog in this series. Okay, the Knicks are favored at minus 115. The Celtics, however, all these from ESPN Bet. The Celtics remain the favorites in the East. It is an unusual wrinkle in the way gambling works. But the Knicks are now favored to win this series, but the Celtics remain the favorites to win the East. It has to do with how prohibitive a favorite they would be if they get to the next round.
Can't figure it out either.
So I have, exactly right, I have the poll up, and you just saw it a minute ago. If you go to my page on Twitter X, which is at ESPN Greeny, I ask, who's going to win? And right now, it is 50.
That's crazy.
50.
That's crazy.
We keep the poll open. We're going to keep the voting open until the end of the show today. Celtics 50%.
Knicks Nation, let's talk. Because what we're witnessing in this series against the Boston Celtics is not just a playoff run. It's a statement. Back-to-back 20-point comebacks. Back-to-back punches in the mouth for the so-called title favorites. And back-to-back reminders that this Knicks team does not fold. Not on the road. Not under pressure. Not when it matters most. Now, you already know Jalen Brunson was in his bag. Again. The man put up 9 points in the fourth quarter and made sure. The Knicks didn't leave Boston without taking both games. And Mikal Bridges, don't even get me started. The guy didn't score for 3 quarters, then dropped 14 points in the fourth alone like it was personal. But the talk of the night, Josh Hart. And I'm not just talking about the 23 points. The 2 blocks or the 6 rebounds, 3 of which came on the offensive glass at critical moments. I'm talking about what happened after the buzzer, because Josh Hart didn't just help win the game. He might have just set the tone for the rest of the series, with one viral moment. Let's take it back to Game 2. TD Garden was rocking early. The Celtics built a 20-point lead again, trying to erase the memory of Game 1's collapse. But once again, the Knicks stuck around. They weathered the storm, chipped away, and refused to go quietly. By the time the fourth quarter hit, the Knicks flipped the switch. And this wasn't luck. This was poise. This was grit. This was a team that knows how to close. Jalen Brunson, steady as always, got to his spots and finished plays. Mikal Bridges came alive like a man possessed. And Josh Hart, he played like he didn't care what jersey was in front of him. He was going to take that win home to New York. And then, just minutes after securing a statement victory, Hart gave us something else. A viral clip that now has the entire league buzzing. During the post-game interview, Hart and Brunson were answering questions, business as usual, when a sound caught everyone's attention. Brunson starts glancing around, confused. Hart pauses mid-sentence, stops his thought, and looks up. No one else is worried about that. That's what he said. What was it? The fire alarm. You can hear it faintly in the background of the video, and you can see both players trying to figure out what's going on. Moments later, the TD Garden is evacuated. Fire trucks outside. Game already over. Series 2-0 in New York's favor. Now let's be honest. On the surface, it's a funny clip. Josh Hart being Josh Hart. Always good for a laugh. But the timing? You can't make this up. because just one night earlier, a fire alarm also went off at Fenway Park during a Red Sox game. And now, the Garden too. Boston fans might want to start checking their smoke detectors, because right now, the city's basketball team is the one going up in flames. But let's zoom out. This series has been physical, emotional, tight. But the Knicks have shown something that the box score, the highlights, and even the win column can't fully capture. They don't flinch. The Celtics came in as the best road team in the league this season. The most complete team on paper, the deepest rotation, the championship experience, all of that. But none of it has mattered in crunch time, because in games 1 and 2, the Knicks played with more heart, more focus, more hunger. And it's not just Brunson or Bridges or Hart. It's Robinson doing the dirty work. It's Donte DiVincenzo making the hustle plays. It's Thibodeau managing every moment like it's life or death. And it's guys like Josh Hart, who not only backs up his words with numbers, but shows us night after night that this team is built differently. So while Celtics fans are pointing fingers, wondering what went wrong, maybe they should look up. Because when the alarm goes off, it's usually a warning. And right now, that warning is this: the New York Knicks are not just here, they are coming. So here we are, 2-0, heading back to Madison Square Garden with the momentum, with the swagger, with a city behind them that smells blood. But let's be real for a second, Knicks fans, we're not done. We can't get comfortable. Boston didn't finish the season with the league's best record by accident. They can play and they can win on the road. They've done it all year. But this team, our team, they've got something else. A chip on their shoulder, a bond, a toughness. And if they keep playing like they did in games 1 and 2, this series might not make it back to Boston. Now, Knicks Nation, I want to hear from you. What did you think of Josh Hart's post-game moment? Do you think it was just funny? Or do you see it as symbolic of this Celtics team starting to break? Can the Knicks hold serve at home and close this thing out in 4 or 5? And what's been the most impressive part of this playoff run so far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. This is our time. This is our team. And here at New York Knicks Report, we're going to break it all down, every step of the way. If you love this kind of coverage, hit that like button, subscribe, and make sure your notifications are on. We've got plenty more to come. And trust me, you don't want to miss a second of it. Because if Boston's sounding the alarms, New York's just getting started. Let's go Knicks.